Now, the former US President Barack Obama has launched a scathing attack on Donald Trump, accusing him of running the Oval Office as if it was a reality game show. Mr. Obama was speaking at the Democratic National Convention, where tonight Joe Biden will deliver his speech as the party's presidential nominee. Our North America editor John Sopel is in Wilmington in Delaware, where the virtual convention is being hosted. Evening, John.
Good evening, Clive. Yeah, Joe Biden has been in politics nearly 50 years. He was in the Senate when Richard Nixon was still the president. But in all that time, he won't have delivered a speech more important than the one he'll deliver this evening. Now, Donald Trump has been to the town where Biden was born to try to rain on his parade. But last night, it was president versus president. Obama versus Trump.
Now, let's get this show started.
And when it comes to a political show, the Democratic Party has no bigger star than Barack Obama.
Good evening, everybody.
He'd come to root for a man he calls his brother, Joe Biden.
What's happening, people? Welcome to Dr. John Podcast again. Trump fired FBI Director Christopher Wray and replaced him with loyalist Kash Patel, while also issuing an ultimatum to at least 6 senior FBI executives, including those overseeing cyber, national security, and criminal investigations, to resign within days or be fired. The mass purge of the Bureau's top leadership is one of the most alarming moves of his second term. NBC's justice correspondent actually called this probably the biggest purge in the modern history of the FBI. That's not me saying that. That's a reporter who covers the Justice Department saying that the biggest purge ever is happening right now in real time. Trump's looking at his own FBI director, the guy he personally appointed years ago, and saying, "You betrayed me. You didn't protect me. You let investigations into me move forward." And now he's cleaning house. He's basically saying to everyone at the top, either you get out or I'm throwing you out. It's a loyalty test. It's retaliation.
But there's been a long convention in US politics that a previous president doesn't attack the incumbent. Well, that convention went out the window and down the street last night.
I did hope, for the sake of our country, that Donald Trump might show some interest in taking the job seriously. That he might come to feel the weight of the office and discover some reverence for the democracy that had been placed in his care. But he never did.
And the speech went wider, to the future of American democracy itself.
This administration has shown it will tear our democracy down if that's what it takes for them to win. So we have to get busy building it up by pouring all our efforts into these 76 days.
While Barack Obama was making the case that Donald Trump wasn't up to the job and didn't take it seriously, the president was responding in real time on Twitter using block capitals. Then it was the turn of Kamala Harris, the first black woman.
It's Trump using the full power of the presidency to punish people he thinks turned against him. And the scary part is that this is just the beginning. Here's what's really happening underneath all this drama. Trump spent years angry at Wray because the FBI director refused to do what Trump wanted. Wray didn't shut down investigations into Trump's campaign in Russia. Wray didn't kill the classified documents investigation. Wray actually defended the FBI's role in investigating the Capitol attack on January 6th. From Trump's perspective, that's betrayal. That's disloyalty. Wray was supposed to be his guy, his FBI director, his hand-picked appointee. And instead, Wray acted like he worked for the rule of law or the Constitution or something crazy like that. Wray actually defended the FBI's job of investigating things even when those investigations touch Trump personally. So Trump is furious.
And of South Asian descent to be on the ticket.
I accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States of America.
She used to be a prosecutor, and she'll be making the case against Donald Trump, already, it seems, in her sights.
I have fought for children and survivors of sexual assault. I fought against transnational criminal organizations. I took on the biggest banks and helped take down one of the biggest for-profit colleges. I know a predator when I see one.
The speech ended with Zoom cheers and then an awkward coming together of the two, not knowing how close to stand, not knowing whether to hug. But politically, they've embraced each other and will have to find a way to march in lockstep towards November's election.
And John, news today concerning the man credited with getting Donald Trump in the Oval Office in the first place, Mr. Steve Bannon.
He views this as backstabbing. He views this as his own FBI director choosing career investigations over loyalty to him personally. And now he's got the power to do something about it. Now he's back in the White House. Now he can fire Wray and install someone who will be loyal to him specifically. Now he can tell senior FBI officials, you either get out of the way or you're gone. Now he can reshape an entire federal agency around the principle of loyalty to Trump instead of loyalty to the law or to the Constitution or to career law enforcement principles. This is the kind of thing that authoritarian governments do. This is the kind of thing that happens when a leader uses law enforcement as a tool to punish enemies instead of as an impartial institution that investigates crimes. And we're watching it happen in real time in America right now. The ultimatum that Trump issued to senior FBI officials came in late January 2025.
Yeah, Steve Bannon, this time 4 years ago, was Donald Trump's campaign director. He then went into the White House to be head of strategy, very senior position. And then he went to set up his own kind of nationalist body that to promote the ideas that got Donald Trump elected, both in the US and around Europe. He also set up a GoFundMe page to build a section of the border wall with Mexico. Now, he was arrested today, and it sounds like something out of a plot of a Hollywood movie, on the yacht of a Chinese billionaire, charged with defrauding all those people who donated money towards this wall. And apparently hundreds of thousands of dollars were siphoned off, allegedly. Now, Steve Bannon has pleaded not guilty to this and has been released on $5 million bail. Donald Trump is putting maximum distance. He said he never liked the idea of this border wall being funded privately. It was showboating, he said.
Okay, John, thank you for that. John Sopel there, live in Wilmington, Delaware.
Multiple officials were told they had to resign or retire or face termination. The timeline was incredibly tight, just a few days. That's all they got to decide if they wanted to keep their jobs or if they wanted to retire early. It was basically a threat. Do what I want or you're out. Resign now and you might keep your pension, your benefits, your reputation. Stay and fight and you're fired and you become an enemy of the Trump administration. That's the choice he gave them. And they're not regular employees either. These are people who have spent years or decades in law enforcement. These are people running major divisions of the FBI. And Trump is basically saying, your career, your standing, your legacy, all of it depends on whether you're willing to bow to me right now. The firing of Wray himself is interesting because it shows how Trump thinks. He picked Wray. Trump appointed Christopher Wray as FBI director to replace James Comey after he fired Comey. So this is a guy Trump chose, a guy Trump put in power, and now Trump is saying he's a traitor. According to reporting, Trump wanted to fire Wray back in 2020 and 2021, but he backed down when his attorney general at the time, William Barr, threatened to resign if Trump went through with it. So Trump has been sitting on this for years, building resentment, waiting for the chance to get rid of Wray. And now that he's back in power, he's doing it. He's cleaning house. He's removing the people he thinks double-crossed him, and he's putting in loyalists like Kash Patel, who he trusts to do what he wants. This is what authoritarianism looks like. This is what it looks like when a president decides the Justice Department and the FBI should work for him personally rather than for the Constitution and the rule of law. This is the story. This is the moment. This is what we need to talk about. Let's dig into what this actually means and why Trump is so angry at Wray and the FBI in the first place. The anger goes back years, way back. During the 2016 campaign, the FBI investigated potential coordination between the Trump campaign and Russia. This was the Russia investigation. It was real. It was serious. It involved the director of the FBI at the time, James Comey, and it involved Wray as well in various capacities. Trump hated this investigation. He called it a witch hunt. He demanded that it be shut down. He asked people around him to make it go away. He wanted allies in government to protect him and say the investigation was baseless. But the FBI and the people running these investigations kept going. They kept pursuing leads. They kept documenting evidence. They didn't stop just because Trump was angry about it or because he was the president. For Trump, that was disloyalty. That was the FBI choosing investigation over loyalty to him. That was the moment Trump decided the FBI had turned against him. He thought Wray, being his appointee, should have managed this differently, should have protected him, should have somehow made the Russia investigation go away, or at least made it less damaging. Then after the classified documents case, Trump had boxes of classified material at Mar-a-Lago. Top secret documents, sensitive national defense information. The FBI investigated. The Justice Department investigated under Attorney General Merrick Garland. They were serious about it. Dead serious. Charges were filed against Trump personally. Prosecutors built a case. And Trump expected his people, his appointees in government, to protect him. He expected Wray to somehow manage this, expected him to shut it down or at least make it go away, expected him to find reasons why the investigation shouldn't move forward. But they didn't. Wray didn't shut it down. The FBI leadership didn't shut it down. They let the investigation continue and move through the courts. For Trump, that was another betrayal, another example of his own people, his own appointed officials, choosing the rule of law over loyalty to him. He thought his FBI director would have his back. Thought he owed Trump something for giving him the job. But Wray acted like he worked for the Constitution instead. And then January 6th happened. Trump incited a riot at the Capitol. People broke into the building, some people died, the FBI investigated, hundreds of people were arrested, they're still being investigated and prosecuted, and some are still going to trial. The investigation has been massive, the most extensive investigation the FBI has ever done in terms of the number of cases, and Trump expected his own FBI director to maybe dial that back, or at least not be so enthusiastic about investigating what happened that day. But Wray defended it. Wray said the Capitol attack was serious. Wray said it should be investigated thoroughly. Wray said that what happened was wrong and needed to be prosecuted regardless of who was involved or what connections those people had to Trump. Again, from Trump's perspective, that was betrayal. His own FBI director not protecting him, not defending him, not downplaying what happened. Instead, treating the Capitol attack like a serious crime that needed to be investigated and prosecuted. Wray treated it like it was just another crime the FBI was responsible for investigating instead of treating it like Trump wanted, which was as a political event that shouldn't be prosecuted heavily. So you've got this pattern, investigation after investigation, case after case, all of them touching Trump in some way. All of them cases where Trump expected the government to protect him or his allies. All of them cases where the FBI and the Justice Department instead went ahead with the investigations anyway. And from Trump's point of view, his own FBI director, Christopher Wray, was part of this pattern of betrayal. There's also a famous story where Trump asked the NSA director, Mike Rogers, to publicly push back against the FBI's Russia investigation. Trump wanted Rogers to go on television and say the Russia investigation was wrong or baseless or whatever, but Rogers refused. Rogers said that was inappropriate. Rogers documented the conversation in a memo, just like James Comey documented the time Trump asked him to drop the Flynn investigation. So even Trump's own national security officials weren't willing to do what Trump wanted them to do. They weren't willing to become tools of Trump's personal interest. They actually stood their ground and said, no, we're not going to do that. For Trump, every single one of these moments was evidence that he had been surrounded by disloyal people. People he had appointed, people he had trusted, people who turned out to actually believe in the law or in the Constitution instead of in Trump. That's how he sees it. That's his narrative. And now he's got the power to do something about it. So what Trump is doing now is cleaning house. He's removing the people he thinks betrayed him. He's replacing them with loyalists. He's making it clear that the FBI is going to work for him now, not for the rule of law or for the Constitution or for career law enforcement principles. Kash Patel, Trump's choice to replace Wray, is known as a Trump loyalist. He worked in Trump's administration before. He served in various roles under Trump. He's been publicly aligned with Trump consistently. He's defended Trump against various investigations and scandals. He's written books defending Trump. He's been on TV defending Trump against criticism. He's exactly the kind of person Trump wants running the FBI. Someone who will be loyal to Trump first and everything else second. Someone who has already proven he will put Trump's interests above other concerns. Someone who understands what Trump expects. And when Patel was going through his confirmation hearings, he kept saying he wouldn't conduct retribution or go backwards with investigations. But that's exactly what the purge at the FBI looks like. That's exactly what telling senior officials to resign or be fired looks like. That's going backwards. That's retribution against people Trump thinks wronged him. The timing is suspicious. Patel says one thing in hearings about not doing retribution, and meanwhile FBI officials are being pushed out the door. The people getting pushed out are officials who were involved in investigations that touch Trump personally. We're talking about 6 executive assistant directors and other top-tier officials, investigators who worked on the Russia investigation, people who were part of the classified documents case, people who defended the Capitol riot investigation and oversaw it, people who managed cyber operations and national security divisions that touched on Trump-related matters. Trump is basically saying to all of them, either you resign now or you're fired. Either you go quietly and maybe keep your pension, or you become a target of the Trump administration. Either you disappear from the FBI or you fight and lose your career and maybe become investigated yourself. That's the choice he's given these people. Career law enforcement officials who have spent decades in the FBI, who have families, who have careers, who have reputations. And Trump is saying, give it all up or you're done. This is chilling because it means that career law enforcement officials now have to think about their job security when they're investigating powerful people or decisions that might touch the presidency. If you're an FBI agent and you know that the director got fired for letting investigations of Trump move forward, and you know that senior FBI officials are being purged for their role in those investigations, what message does that send to you? It sends a message that your career depends on whether you're investigating someone Trump likes or someone Trump doesn't like. It sends a message that your career depends on whether you're pursuing cases that are popular with Trump or cases that aren't. It sends a message that the FBI is not actually an independent law enforcement agency anymore. It's a political tool of whoever is president. That's the real danger here. That's why this matters so much, because Trump is establishing a precedent. He's showing future presidents how to do this. He's showing that you can fire your own appointees if they don't do what you want. You can purge entire ranks of law enforcement officials. You can reshape the FBI around personal loyalty instead of around law enforcement principles. And once that precedent is set, it's hard to undo. The broader question here is what it means for a democracy when the president can use law enforcement to punish enemies and protect allies. What does it mean when the FBI answers to the president instead of to the rule of law? What does it mean when you can't trust career law enforcement officials because they might lose their jobs if they investigate the wrong person? These are serious questions. These are questions about what kind of country we are. And Trump's actions with the FBI are answering those questions in a dangerous way. He's saying the FBI should answer to him. He's saying law enforcement should be a tool of presidential power, not an independent institution. He's saying loyalty to him personally matters more than loyalty to the Constitution or the rule of law. That's what this purge represents. That's what this firing of Wray and this ultimatum to senior officials means. It's a fundamentally authoritarian impulse. Is Trump trying to turn the FBI from an independent law enforcement agency into his personal secret police? Let me break down what's actually happening in 3 main points so you understand what this means for you and for the country. The first point is that Trump is removing people from power specifically because they didn't protect him from investigations. That's the core thing that's happening. Wray didn't shut down the Russia investigation. Wray didn't stop the classified documents case. Wray didn't prevent the Capitol riot investigation. So Trump is firing him. Trump is telling 6 executive assistant directors to resign. Trump is basically saying to everyone at the FBI, if you let investigations of me move forward, you're out. That's retribution. That's using law enforcement as a tool to punish enemies. That's not what law enforcement is supposed to be. Law enforcement is supposed to investigate crimes fairly and impartially. It's not supposed to protect powerful people from scrutiny or punishment. But that's what Trump is demanding. He's demanding that the FBI work for him personally instead of for justice. The second point is that this sends a message to every FBI agent and every law enforcement official about what will happen if they don't do what the president wants. If you're an FBI agent investigating a powerful person and the president doesn't like it, you could lose your job. If you're a prosecutor working on a case that touches the White House and the president wants it to go away, you might be fired. If you work in law enforcement and you're pursuing justice instead of pursuing what the president wants, your career is in danger. That's the message that Trump is sending by firing Wray and purging senior FBI officials. That message chills investigations. That message makes law enforcement weaker because people are more concerned about their jobs than about pursuing justice. That message corrupts the entire system of law enforcement in America. That's dangerous. The third point is that this establishes a precedent for future presidents. Trump is showing that if you're a president, you can fire your own appointees for not doing what you want. You can purge entire ranks of career officials. You can reshape law enforcement around loyalty to you personally. And once Trump does it, other presidents will do it too. It will become normal. It will become expected. The FBI will become a political tool of the president instead of an independent law enforcement agency. The Justice Department will become a weapon for presidents to use against enemies instead of an impartial institution. That's what this precedent means. That's why this matters so much. Trump is fundamentally changing what the FBI is and what law enforcement is in America. He's changing it from an independent institution into a political tool. So here's what's happening right now in real time. Multiple senior FBI officials have been told to resign or be fired. The deadline was only a few days. Some of them might have already resigned. Others might have chosen to fight and get fired. The details are still unfolding, but the core thing has already happened. Trump has shown that he will use the power of the presidency to punish law enforcement officials who don't do what he wants. He has shown that he will fire his own appointees for not shielding him from investigations. He has shown that he will reshape an entire federal agency around personal loyalty instead of around law enforcement principles. That's the story. That's why this matters. When Kash Patel takes over as FBI director, he will have been put in power by Trump specifically because Trump trusts him to be loyal to Trump. That means the FBI will have a director who is loyal to Trump instead of loyal to the law. That means investigations that touch Trump or Trump's allies might be handled differently. That means the FBI might not pursue cases that are inconvenient for Trump. That means law enforcement has become a political tool instead of an independent institution. Some people might say that's fine. Some people might say Trump is just cleaning out disloyal people, and that's his right as president. But there's a difference between cleaning out people for being incompetent or corrupt and cleaning out people specifically for not protecting you from investigations. Trump is doing the latter. Trump is removing people because they did their jobs, because they investigated cases they were supposed to investigate, because they didn't use law enforcement to protect Trump personally. This also connects to what happened with James Comey. Trump fired Comey as FBI director back in 2017 after just a few years on the job. Comey refused to shut down the Russia investigation. Comey wouldn't pledge personal loyalty to Trump. Comey actually documented conversations with Trump about letting Michael Flynn off the hook. So Trump fired him and eventually installed Christopher Wray as the replacement. Wray was supposed to be different. Wray was supposed to be Trump's person. Trump thought Wray would manage things differently than Comey did. But then Wray also didn't do what Trump wanted. Wray defended the investigations. Wray stood by the rule of law. Wray said the FBI was independent. So now Trump is firing Wray too and installing Kash Patel. The pattern is clear. Trump keeps firing FBI directors until he finds one who will do what he wants. Eventually, he will get an FBI director who is completely loyal to him personally and will reshape the FBI to be a tool of Trump's political power. That's what's happening. That's the trajectory. That's where this is going. And the fastest way to get there is exactly what Trump is doing right now. Fire the old people who believe in the law and the Constitution. Bring in new people who believe in loyalty to Trump. Purge the senior ranks. Threaten people's jobs. Make it clear that your career depends on whether you're loyal to Trump or not. That's how you turn an institution from independent to corrupted. That's how you turn law enforcement from impartial to political. That's what Trump is doing with the FBI right now. He's learned from firing Comey that you have to go deeper. You can't just fire the director and hope things change. You have to purge the entire leadership so there's nobody left who believes in independence. The impact of this on future investigations is important to think about. If you're investigating something that touches Trump and you know that the FBI director got fired for letting investigations of Trump move forward, what do you do? Do you keep investigating aggressively or do you back off? Do you risk your career to pursue justice or do you play it safe? Those are the calculations that people are making right now. And Trump's actions are designed to make people pick the second option. Trump's actions are designed to make people back off and play it safe when it comes to investigating powerful people or investigating Trump specifically. That chills investigations, that weakens law enforcement, that corrupts the system. So what do you watch for going forward? This is important. Watch to see if ongoing investigations start to slow down or change direction after Patel takes over. Watch to see if cases that were moving forward suddenly stall. fall or get dropped entirely. Watch to see if career prosecutors and investigators start acting differently now that they know the FBI director got fired for letting investigations of Trump move forward. Watch to see if the Justice Department becomes more selective about which cases it pursues and which ones it decides to drop or deprioritize. Watch to see if loyalty to Trump starts to matter more than loyalty to the law in how law enforcement operates day to day. These are the signs that the FBI has been corrupted. These are the signs that law enforcement has become a political tool of the White House instead of an independent institution. And once an institution becomes a political tool, it's hard to turn it back into an independent institution. It requires new leadership. It requires new people. It requires cultural change. And that's costly and difficult and takes years. That's the real danger of what Trump is doing right now. That's why this matters to you. That's why you should care deeply about this story, because it affects how justice works in America for everyone. It affects whether people are held accountable for their actions or whether they get away with crimes. It affects whether the rich and powerful and well-connected can commit crimes and get away with it because they have political protection from the White House. And right now, Trump is putting systems in place to make sure that he and his allies get that protection. The broader implications are staggering. When the FBI becomes a political tool, the entire criminal justice system becomes compromised. Investigations become selective. Prosecutions become political. People who are connected to the president get treated differently than people who aren't. The rule of law becomes a joke. And once that happens, you can't just snap your fingers and fix it. It takes years of reform, years of rebuilding trust, years of replacing compromised leadership with people who actually believe in the Constitution. And in the meantime, justice is not served. In the meantime, crimes go unpunished. In the meantime, the powerful get away with things that ordinary people would be prosecuted for. Trump is openly purging the FBI's senior leadership, replacing career professionals with loyalists, and making it clear the Bureau now serves him, not the American people. The transformation is happening in broad daylight, and if left unchecked, it could hollow out the institution's independence for decades to come.